Appreciate that. Good morning.
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 I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. And I would like to start out with a couple of questions. First of all, how many of you gone to a big box store like Walmart or Home Depot? You can't find what you're looking for, and you can't find anybody to help you. And when you do find someone to help you, you realize that you know more than they do. Yeah. So another question, how many of you own a pet, like a dog or cat or fish? So similarly, if you go to a large store like PetSmart or Petco, rarely can you find anybody to help you when you're looking for something. It's nowhere to be found. So I have a solution for that, and that solution is Tank's Lot Pet Shop. And we're doing what the others won't do. We have knowledgeable, friendly staff who are customer focused. A little bit about me. I'm retired Air Force. I've been an entrepreneur most of my life. I started out at a pet store in high school, worked my way up through school, and when I graduated, I opened a pet store with a partner. And it didn't work out too well. He was mismanaging the funds, but it was a short-lived arrangement. I got out of that, but it was definitely worth the experience. For several years, I've raised tropical angelfish at home, sold them locally to pet stores and nationally online. And actually, when I joined the military, my first duty station, I got a part-time job at a pet store, and that's where I met my wife, Denise, who was managing the store. And it's been a blissful experience since. So about the last 6
and
months...
you're still reporting to her.
That's right. She's still in charge. About the last 6 months of my military career, I started an online business, retail, selling a single product that wasn't pet related. And in the first full year, I grossed over $250,000. And interestingly, Deb Bruton was one of my first customers. Unfortunately, she's not here. I wish she could speak to that. But I'm currently managing a chain pet store, a national chain, and been doing that for about 2.5 years. So a little bit about the pet industry. As you can see, it's a phenomenal business, $20 billion industry. In the past 5 years, we've seen significant growth, excellent profits, and there's about 14,000 retailers in the business, with PetSmart and Petco taking up the lion's share, about 45% of the market. The rest of that's filled with regional small chains and independent stores. So a typical pet store, the segments in that store, you're looking at pet food, takes up about 45% of sales. Pet supplies, which includes treats, toys, collars, leashes, that kind of thing. We have services like pet grooming and aquarium maintenance, and live animals that make up only about 5% of the sales. But interestingly, while the pet food is the largest segment, it is the least profitable. It's only about 12% profit margin on that. But it gets people in the store. They come frequently. They got to buy food for their pets. And while they're there, they spend money on the rest of those segments, which is much more profitable, typically 50%. So why is the pet industry growing? Well, individuals are increasingly seeing pets as family members, and they treat them just like children and are willing to spend money on them. Also, we have a strong economy right now. It provides more discretionary spending, and people, again, are spending that money on their pets. As they get older, baby boomers, they're living alone and are looking at pets as companions, filling that void. And small brick and mortar stores are filling a niche in the industry, providing high-end holistic foods and quality products. So back to the solution, Tank's Lot Pet Shop, we are totally going to be customer focused. It's all about the experience when the customer comes into the store. We're going to offer superior customer service, greet them when they come in, ask them if they need help, get to know them, get to know the customers and their pets and their needs. Obviously, as an independent store, we won't have the inventory selection that a large box store like PetSmart would have. But what we will do is be able to provide exactly what that customer wants in our local community. For example, every third Thursday, Bob Smith comes in and buys this particular bag of dog food. I'm going to have that food for him on the shelf. And over time, we'll be able to tailor our inventory to meet the needs of our local community. And also, anything that my vendors can supply to me, I can offer my customers. In contrast, right now, I work at, like I said, a chain pet store, and corporate decision is just to have a limited selection so it's uniform across the company. And I literally cannot order something that I know my vendors supply. And it's really frustrating. Customers come in asking for something on a daily basis that I cannot get for them. So that's where we will offer that what other stores can't currently do. We'd also like to have a home delivery service, more as a convenience versus, a profit rent. But you have older customers that aren't able to get to the store. We want to provide that service to them, or people that just with a busy schedule and can't make it to the store. We want to offer that service to them. And finally, we want a place that people can feel relaxed, a welcoming environment where they can just hang out. The pet industry or owning a pet is a very emotional experience. And, from experience, I know customers come in, you get to know them and their pets, and they'll spend all day, if you let them, just talking about their pets and showing you pictures. It's interesting. The first thing that they do is pull out their phone and show you pictures of their pet. But we want to offer that environment where people feel welcome to stay in a nice atmosphere, friendly staff, and other customers. So I mentioned briefly that I raised angelfish, and this is what angelfish look like. There's a super large variety of colors and strains right now. But I want to incorporate that into our business and have a hatchery in the store. And that does a couple of different things. First of all, it provides for a larger variety of fish that you wouldn't typically see in the local area. And also, it eliminates that supply chain stress on fish and animals that they see. A typical supply chain is they come from the fish farm to a wholesaler. There's jobbers or middlemen in between, and then finally it makes its way to the store. All that stress on fish can be detrimental to their health, and angelfish particularly are really susceptible to that. And that's one reason why you go to a PetSmart or something in town, you rarely see angelfish, and when you do, their fins are clamped and they're kind of slimy looking. But and along that same line, we want to offer other more exotic and unique animals that you wouldn't typically see in the local area. One other thing I want to point out is the angelfish I'll raise are going to be show quality. And in addition to selling them on the store, I'll sell them online. There are serious hobbyists out there that will pay a premium for them, and they'll even pay shipping. So, yes.
What's the upper range of angelfish? I haven't priced angelfish lately to get a rare, beautiful, exotic angelfish.
For example, this orange one here is called a koi angelfish because it's similarly looking to a koi goldfish. I had a breeding pair of those. And they easily sell for $400, $450 a pair. And you can get them to breeding age and prove that they're a breeding pair within a year. But the small nickel-sized ones are about 2 months old, and I sell them online for $10 a piece. But you could sell them for $15 or $20 in the store. But the higher quality the fish, not all the fish I'm going to raise are show quality, but they're all will be exceptional quality. The higher ones will command a premium on the internet, and I sell the other ones in the store. To answer your question.
You mentioned show quality. Is there a show for fish?
Yes, there are tropical fish clubs.
For fish?
Yeah, there's tropical fish clubs all over the country, and they'll host shows in community centers and things like that. People bring in their fish. They actually have them on display. They win prizes, and just like dogs and horses, I imagine the winner of that commands a premium on their line of fish.
How do you choose a winning fish?
Based on conformity, and if you notice they have the long trailing fins, and a fish that has a bent dorsal fin is not show quality. There's all kinds of you have your long finned angels, short finned, different colors. There's lots of standards. There's a website, a nonprofit actually, that's all they do is they determine the genetics and traits of specific angelfish. Yeah, kind of weird, but it's interesting. Any other questions about that? All right, so this is a typical design element of the store that we're interested in. We like that industrial utilitarian feel, polished concrete, subdued lighting, attractive fixtures. We'll offer, like I said before, this is a niche market. We're offering premium products. We'll have a large selection of holistic foods and high-end, high-quality, durable products for people that are looking for quality over price.
Is this a viewed lighting for the fish or the customers?
The customers. Yeah. I mean, let me go back.
Do fish do better in darker or lighter environments?
I'm
just interested.
Yeah, well, it depends on the fish.
Okay, that's what I think.
But this is what I'm talking about, subdued lighting versus, a bank of fluorescent lighting in a stark environment. Now these are the live animal enclosures. You notice there is no lighting in the fish section, so you're focused on the aquariums. But this is just a representation of the fixtures. We like the high-end look, and people come in there impressed with that. So at this point, we are working on a business plan with Kent and looking at funding options and possible locations. And at this point, I'd welcome any questions or suggestions. Thanks a lot.
That's really nice. So Dean, you mentioned other pets. Will it just be fish, or?
No, it's a full line store. We'll offer small animals, hamsters, guinea pigs, fish and birds and reptiles.
So will you work with like any rescue groups for cats and dogs?
While we're not interested in selling dogs or cats, because there's shelters full of them that need adopting, we want to partner with a local shelter or rescue and have adoption days at the store.
So not a continuous supply of cats from a rescue, which typically rescued from the shelters.
Well, I will tell you, the store I work at now, we have an adoption center with cats, and the store has only been open for about 6 months. I opened that store after coming from another one, and we have a great relationship with the animal control in that city. And in just 6 months, we've adopted about 120 cats. And so that's something I definitely would like to continue to do. Yes, sir.
You repeatedly mentioned high-end. Does that affect your demographics, affect where your store is going to be located?
Yes. So some of the locations we're looking at are basically on commuter routes. People that are commuting to Fort Bragg. And without getting into too much detail, there's one particular location that we're looking at where the discretionary income of the people that live in that area is really high. And so that's the kind of place we're looking for. In contrast, the store I work at now is in a rural community. There's not really any huge industry to speak of in that city, and there's no commuting. And we don't cater to that high-end customer. Even though the products we sell are high-end, we're seeing that the products that we sell are more grocery-based, like Purina dog chow and pedigree and stuff that has very low profit margin. While the store is doing really well, across the company, it's not performing like stores that would be in another area like Leland or Wilmington, where you have a lot of retirees with a lot of disposable income. We have a store in Leland, which is just doing phenomenal business. One in Cape Carteret, just making tons of money hand over fist, but they're selling high-end products. I have the same products in my store, but my customer base is more on that low end.
Because of location.
Right.
You talked about exotic animals, and once you mentioned hedgehogs. I mean, what are some of the exotic animals? Siberian tigers?
Yeah, well,
mammoths,
nothing that exotic.
Oh, okay.
Hedgehogs, sugar gliders, ferrets. I mean, you see some of those animals at stores around here, but typically if you go to PetSmart or Petco, you'll just see guinea pigs and parakeets and things. And those are great animals, and we'll offer those too. But people, again, it's kind of a niche industry. People are really passionate about their pets, and they have interest in different ones. Some people like tarantulas and scorpions, so we'll sell those too. But,
Well, one of the interesting dynamics that I read in some research, and maybe you can confirm this or correct it, but a lot of people, when the economy does have a downturn, will continue to spend on their pet, but they'll cut on themselves.
right, yeah, even it's a pretty resilient industry, even during 2009, when the economy flatlined, the pet industry saw growth. People are like I said before, they treat their pets like children, and they're willing to cut elsewhere before they will cut spending on their pets.
So will you supply or have the saltwater fish, or is it just like the angelfish?
Well, it'll be all types in saltwater too. I've raised saltwater fish before. There's different aspects of that. I don't have a lot of experience in the latest technology used to raise saltwater fish, but it's definitely something I want to offer. Yes, sir.
Have you ever thought about offering classes to people that are in the area to be able to understand the difference between the salt fresh and how to care for them if you see things going wrong, and how to determine if they're sick versus they're in a bad environment or however?
Oh, yes, sir. And there's a lot of discussion that Denise and I have had with Kent, and it all really depends on our location and what kind of store we have. And for instance, if I'm in a strip center in a 3,000 square foot store, I'm going to be a little limited on what I can provide, and even with the fish hatchery, it would be smaller scale than I want. Versus if we could find a warehouse space that's in a good location, or even buy some property and build on it, and have, ultimately what we would like to do is buy some acreage, put a mini strip center on there, and be landlords, where we have a destination where people come to the pet store. Next door is a groom shop. We got boarding, and even maybe a veterinarian. So, and I envision 5-7 acres, and on the back side of the store there's a little dog park. We have outdoor waterfall where we can offer pond supplies. But it's a destination. People come, and to get to that little dog park, they got to go through the store. So, yes, ma'am.
But I think Joe brings up a good point. For the folks who are not going to cut back on the spending of their pets even in downtimes, you need to build a relationship. So if you assist me in giving me advice and teaching me how to take care of, you're building a relationship with me, so I'm going to keep coming back to you regardless. But my question to you is, how are you going to market to fit yourself in this little niche that you want? Which I like the niche. How are you going to position yourself there?
Well, we're not trying to capture every customer out there. And like I said, where I work at, I'm not going to have a lot of customers that want to buy that premium food. But through a lot of social media presence, there's also an app called Pointy. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but it's developed by some gentleman that worked at Google. And I don't know all the details, but it's an app that plugs into your POS, and it takes an inventory of everything that you have, and you have somebody driving up Highway 95 looking for a particular brand of dog food or a particular treat, and it pulls up kind of like the Google AdWords on the side, my product, my price, and where it's located. So you can pull in people that way too.
And that's called Pointy?
Pointy.
Is it free?
No, it's not. Yeah.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
So what's the budget?
For that particular app, I'm not sure. I haven't looked totally into it, but
Because I'd be interested in the ROI on.
Well, the other thing too is word of mouth and that community. Because if you have people that are really in tropical fish, and other people that are in tropical fish or ferrets or whatever they're into.
right. Yeah. In another example, the store that I work for, it's a national chain owned by a big corporation that you're all familiar with, but we don't do any advertising. It's all on me as a store manager to get the word out to the community. So community involvement is important. Posting on our Facebook page daily is important. And the store's only been open since November, and we're already exceeding sales plan. The company's really impressed with the performance of the store, even with the limitations we have, the location. I mean, it's a great location, just the customer base is different than personally what I want to offer.
We'll kind of combine that with the other ideas that we've thrown out at you. If you can join social media groups, because that sounds like it's a group that's very cohesive, that we're going to join groups and discuss like my fish, your fish, that kind of thing. And if you can throw out a tidbit every now and then about the care of, or we have this new type of food or whatever, that again is going to set you up as the expert, if you will, of the group. So that will help build your marketing.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea.
Can you do a thing, I'm sorry, like they did, I think, with the giraffe at the Australian Zoo? And when the giraffe was expecting, they had the whole following Ellie the giraffe and the
Yeah.
birth and...
Put a live cam on the fish tank, you know, the angelfish are laying eggs.
Yeah,
and-
I don't know, I mean,
Yeah, I think that would be really neat.
yeah.
The hedgehog is pregnant. That would be awesome to follow that.
And so, Dean, before you got here, I just Googled tanks a lot. And so there's a place that's permanently closed. So when you Google that, numerous things come up. Are you affiliated with any of those?
And I haven't reserved that name or anything yet. I'm not totally fixated on the name, just was catchy and I liked it. But
He's got a really good logo.
my son created that logo, and he just whipped it up yesterday. Basically, no color or anything yet,
Wow.
but we're working on it.
Well, with the name of it, I like the name because I think it's cute and catchy, like you said. But does that mean that fish is going to be your primary business? Because if I see tanks a lot, I'm only thinking of you in terms of fish and not in terms of other pets.
Right, I know that's something we definitely have to consider, but it's also why we included the puppy in the logo. So, you know, when people see that logo, hopefully they'll realize it's not just about fish. But that is my passion. That's what I really am excited about.
That could be part of the logo with the tagline, it's not all about fish.
Yeah, I
It's
would-
the thought, you can
Yeah.
have it right.
absolutely.
Love it.
Fish and more. Or something.
Yeah.
I like the fish more a little bit better. It's more positive.
Instead of tanks a lot? Or
No,
as a
no,
tagline?
no, no. I'm talking about instead of it's not just about fish because then you're downplaying the fish as opposed to saying I have more than that. You always want to take the positive.
So you use that as a tagline, you're saying?
Maybe, but it just always keep it on the positive because you don't want to downplay the fish because I've never heard of spending $400 for a fish before. I mean, can't even eat it, so, you know.
Right.
But, you know, that's kind of an expensive fish. And for a hobbyist who's really into fish, that's probably nothing to them because, you know, if you're into that hobby, you're into that hobby.
Yes.
And so, like, money becomes not an object because that's your thing. Because I've seen those huge tanks, you know, and all that. Also consider looking at contracts with businesses to supply and keep their tanks because I know when my mom was undergoing radiation treatments, we'd go in there and in the doctor's office they'd have a big tank. When you're sitting in a waiting room, watching a tank of fish was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So if you can get in with some businesses that might want to set up a tank in their business and you help maintain it or stock it.
Yeah, I will tell you, while I was in the military and working at a pet store, not the same one, I worked at pet stores all throughout my career in the military just because it's something I'm passionate about. But I did start a side business cleaning aquariums for people. And while I enjoyed doing that, I learned a lot. You know, there's, if I was to get involved in that again, I would definitely have a contract up front where they're paying a subscription whether or not I service their tank, because how it ended up working out, I would charge $25 or whatever to go clean their tank and tell them, you know, I need to do this at least twice a month to keep the tank looking nice. And I wouldn't see them for 4, 5, 6 months. And every time I was just cleaning a mucky, algae-ridden tank for $25.
But absolutely contract it and include stocking of the fish so they're using your product as well.
That's all.
You have the little sponge diver that bubbles up.
Right.
That's important. What is the kind of like the $400 is a typical price for a maiden pair of koi angelfish? Some of the pictures you've shown me, I mean, some of them just unbelievably beautiful. But what is like a top end price? If $400 is
Well, I haven't seen them go for more than $500 for a pair. But I mean, I also don't go to the fish shows either, so I don't know what they're commanding at those. But interestingly, you know, it takes about 6 months to get that angelfish to a breeding size, and then they start pairing up, and you can sell 6 adolescent angels that are just about at that stage for $200, $300 real easily. And when they lay 400 to 1,000 eggs at a time, you can see where that money starts adding up.
I was just going to add on, are you on any other forms of social media, Instagram or anything like that?
With the employer I work with? No.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because especially if you're trying to find a new market as a youth, they're more into Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. You may be able to expose yourself to a different demographic that will help you, and you can always link that to your Facebook and other things as well.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. I'm definitely not a social media expert.
Yeah, I feel like
But I would like to partner with somebody that probably could do that, manage the social media for me.
It's a great way to show this pretty fish.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add, what I was also going to say, do you also, like with the teaching classes thing that I said earlier, will you be able to show people what other fish they can add? Because like Ms. Burns was saying about being in the aquarium at the dentist's office or doctor's office, you see it's an entire colony or an entire school of different kinds of fish, and knowing which ones are susceptible to each other or not.
Yes, sir. That's excellent idea. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the feedback.
So, Dean, what can the community do for you?
Well, I appreciate just this opportunity to present it and get the feedback. We're looking for investors and, a way to get into the business. Another thing that Denise and I are doing right now, and with Kent's help, is we're actually in preliminary negotiations with an existing pet store in the area that's shown to be initially pretty profitable. So if we can get into the industry that way, taking over existing business and then transform it into what I'm hoping to have, that's one aspect. But aside from that, I appreciate your support.
Can I tell you what I just Googled? Because the Google machine knows everything. But if you thought that $400 was high, Platinum Era something, I can't pronounce it.
Arowana?
Yes. 400,000 is the actual sale price. And a freshwater polka dot stingray angelfish is a bargain at only 100,000. But you can get the peppermint for 30, the mast for 20, and the bladefin for only 10, and the golden basselet for 8,000, and the Neptune grouper for only 6,000. If you're on budget.
I would argue that would be for the experienced fish owner, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Think about selling insurance.
Yeah, seriously.
Well, I'm not kidding. My ex-business partner had a pond full of koi. That big. They're like $4,000 a piece. There's like 20 of them in there. And then one morning he woke up and his heron had flown in.
No.
Yeah. And his whole crop, boy, so the whole school's gone.
We
That
lived
little
in,
heron just sitting there smacking his lips.
we lived in Las Vegas and had a koi pond in our backyard, and I didn't know there was a heron within 30 miles, but they targeted that thing right away and scooped up everything. Yeah.
Yeah, fish insurance. That's a really small.
Fish insurance.
Do they have that?
He's about to set up pet insurance.
What was it like?
No, you could, if they don't have it, you could create it.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
Well, I know, vets offer pet insurance.
Yeah.
So, something to think about for sure.
Fish is a pet.
You didn't mention birds other than parakeets. Would you ever have anything like cockatiels or cockatoos? Or
You'd have to ask Denise. She's actually the bird lady. When we met, she had a Moluccan cockatoo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but remember the Beretta bird? That's another cockatoo, but hers had a salmon crest and salmon tinted feathers. Beautiful bird. And we ended up getting another one after we got married, but we're all about birds. We like birds. But I don't know how much Denise wants to get involved in that part, but yeah, I would love to offer parrots.
I don't know about those sugar gliders, because I looked one of those up, but I had no idea what it was. I don't think I want a flying possum in my house.
They're tiny little pocket pets.
I'm sorry, but it flies.
Yeah, they're nocturnal, so you don't see them much unless they're sitting in your pocket.
Oh.
All right, well, Dean, thank you
Thank
so much. I would love to invite you